When Arsenal go against the grain, there's problems. When we were crying about time wasting and injustices in the Premier League, we were told to get on with it and adapt. Now that we adapt, everybody takes the holier than thou approach. People don't have a problem with time wasting or game management or dark arts. They only have a problem when Arsenal Football Club do such, people. I do think a lot of Arsenal fans have this woe is me and victims mentality. And I guess indirectly I share the same. But what you can't deny is evidently we're judged very differently to the refs, and evidently the way we're portrayed in the media and the way dark arts when other teams do it is seen as adaptation, as being smart, and we're told simply put to find a different way to win. Take nothing away from Manchester City, they're the big bad bullies, but their players are whining. When you get away from the fact of, you know, a man sent off and the dark arts and stuff, you look at how passive the attackers actually played. You look at the inability to break down Arsenal, and that's been the regular theme of Manchester City versus Arsenal on a regular basis, really and truly. So, and you look at the amount of chances and passes statistics that fell to their centre halves, despite the fact they played 45 minutes plus an additional 7 against 10 men, essentially. I don't really care. It is what it is. People don't like us, and I'm not a tribal football fan or whatever, but I must admit, the more we're being backed into a corner, the more I want us to have a siege mentality, and whether we win titles or not is another thing. But allegedly Arsenal have a goalkeeping crisis, Premier League clubs are snitching, and PGMOL are on our case. Some details have emerged about what led to Lewis Skelly, big up to him for making his debut, about why he was actually booked, and Martin Odegaard, there's been an update where that's concerned. If I'm completely honest, I'm quite peed off with the way we're being portrayed in the media. You know, again, I still think there's issues around Arsenal's squad depth and things of that ilk, but at the end of the day, there's been 3 tough games in Tottenham Hotspur away, Atalanta away, and City away. Now, 1 win, apologies, I would have loved to have been the case. 1 win, 2 draws. It could have been better, it could have been a lot worse. 2 young players in 2 of the big Premier League games in our fixture calendar list technically got minutes as well, so the squad is being tested. The squad is going to have to be utilized. Away from that though, let's crack on, man. Allow me to share my screen. Therapy session over. Check out the rest of the other videos. First things first, the Mail Sport said Premier League clubs have sent concerns about gamesmanship and Arsenal's repeated use of dark arts throughout last season to the PGMOL. When we was crying when Newcastle did it against us under Mikel Arteta, nobody said anything. We were told to get on with it. For years when Arsene Wenger was our manager and you saw what Stoke did, or you typically see, and I'm not criticizing any of these teams' approach, because if we can marry this dark arts with, you know, Wenger ball, Arteta ball, exciting football, would be a powerhouse. City do it. Chelsea have done it under Conte and Jose Mourinho. Klopp has done it. It has to be done. It's so ugly. It's beautiful. It needs to be done, and it's definitely annoying when it happens against your team. When your team's doing it, you don't really care, man. You can't keep moving the goalposts. So as this tweet says, for years, clubs like Stoke, Burnley, Birmingham bullied our players, broke our players' legs, and we were termed as soft and told to man up. Today, we have become physical. Everybody's crying. On top of it, rivals and pundits call our teams and fans annoying for pointing out bias. As I said, I do think Arsenal fans do come across and are at times the boys and girls who cried wolves, but what we can't sit here and lie about is the double standards in how the narratives around Arsenal when other teams do it, and we can't sit here and say referees and VAR doesn't more harshly judge our club. I think the only football club that could say they've been done more dirty than Arsenal is probably Wolves and Gary O'Neill in their manager. People, it would have been lovely to win, man. I know Trossard got sent off, but people, I love shithousery, if I'm completely honest with you. He's been, Mikel Arteta will do well to ever at the end of his career be mentioned in the same realm as Jose Mourinho. But considering he's been managing for about 5 minutes, if you're being likened to a serial winner like Jose, hopefully we can win serial trophies. He has given his press conference. We'll do a more in-depth dive of that in another video. More than influence on Jose Mourinho, he said, I think you learn a lot from other top coaches and you try to understand why they've been successful. You might have an idea at this level, but if it goes in a different direction, you have to have the ability to adapt. And Mikel Arteta would be a fool if he didn't have his own ethos and own system and own way of playing, and if he didn't take little things from Pep Guardiola, from Arsene Wenger, from Jose Mourinho, whether he's crossed paths with them and managed been in part of their coaching staff, whether he's admired from afar or he's reading coaching books, that's what you should be doing, really. So big him up on that. On if he enjoys the fight in the team, it's not something that we notice, it's something that we've had to install on them. You cannot play with that focus if you don't love it. If not, you start to miss things and you get punished. Facts, people. Bernardo Silva, shut up. Akanji, shut up, and Haaland, man. You know what we should do? Royal Rumble. On Martin Odegaard, the gaffer said, I think it will be a matter of weeks, but how long exactly, I cannot tell you. We might get a surprise, but I think it's unlikely he'll be back before the international break. So at best, we'll see him after October's international break is finished, people. New footage obtained by Mail Sport. And again, you're seeing all the media. They're waffling about City, about Arsenal, about the rivalry, about Haaland against Arteta. You're obviously seeing bench cams and all of these things coming out. I get it. The game's the game. Engagement as to engage is a popular topic. And I like the dark arts. Mikel Arteta finds ways to adapt. At the end of the day, he is more harshly judged for being outside of his technical area. So why not get the likes of Jorginho and Lewis Skelly to convey messages to the players that are on field? I think that's quite smart. And I don't think Mikel Arteta is the first guy to do that. And I don't think he's the only one that probably does that. Logically, every Premier League manager must do that. But it's more harshly judged when we do it. Arsenal are caught in a time-wasting storm as it emerged that teenager Miles Lewis-Skelly was cautioned for unsporting behaviour after appearing to relay a message to David Raya during Sunday's frenetic draw at Manchester City. And what I would say with Lewis-Skelly, big up you for sharing big bollocks, man. Youngest in charge. You know, he stuck it on Haaland. Obviously, he's taking his yellow card. And yeah, he didn't play that many minutes, but he didn't look out of place. And he could have crumbled in a big game where he ain't got his feet really wet in the Premier League, and you're around some established stars, and there's obviously high pressure stakes, and it's become one of those kind of games. You stood up tall, man, and I like that. Whether you're old like Jorginho or young like Ethan and Miles, I'm here for it. Apparently, people, Oliver observed the 17-year-old communicating with Raya before the Arsenal goalkeeper fell to the floor and stopped proceedings, as new footage obtained by the Mail Sport. Again, we time wasted and we didn't get all 3 points. But if we didn't waste time, even though the ball was in play for 35 minutes, which is up there with in all the Premier League games for how the ball's been out there, we could have conceded not just 2 goals or one in the second half, but another one. And the key was to stop obviously the key in that game was to remain compact, was to be difficult to break down, was to obviously adapt to being down to 10 men. And for me, if City got that first goal, which I expected within the first 5-10 minutes in the second half, let's be honest, no matter how good we are defensively, the floodgates might have opened, people. Lewis Skelly had returned to the group of substitutes on the main touchline by the time he received his yellow card, handed out before he had played a single minute of Premier League football or professional football. Apparently, Mikel Arteta, sorry, we need to pause this because we're going to get copyrighted. Mikel Arteta used the ensuring break. Stop playing, man. Mikel Arteta used the ensuring break in play to deliver a team talk to 9 of his outfield players as they look to keep City at bay. Again, cool, fair enough, people. And we obviously saw, you can see what's going on in that regards. Raya obviously hit the deck. In the build-up to Lewis Skelly's intervention, Arsenal coaches had been motioning for calm in Raya's direction before he geared up to take a goal kick that was ultimately delayed, people. We know it's a tactic. Gary Neville, shut the hell up, man. You played under Sir Alex Ferguson. You think Ferguson weren't doing all of this? Allow it, people. Apparently, gamesmanship deployed by Arsenal was the talk of the top flight last year, with coaching staff and analysts across the division openly discussing the dark arts among themselves. This must mean we're serious now. Clubs have sent concerns about the issue to PGMOL, but when we used to send concerns, people probably didn't even read the post or put the letters in the bin. Alleged delaying tactics are at odds with club legend Arsene Wenger, pushed to discourage time wasting. It's true, but at the end of the day, teams used to do this against us. Again, a couple of years ago, nobody gave a flying monkeys when Newcastle did it. And I'm not criticizing Newcastle. The game's the game. If you know a team like City can play silky passes, can cut you open, you want to disrupt the rhythm. If you know someone's a good dancer, you want to make sure they're offbeat. It's as simple as that, people. So they're not mad at what we're doing. It's just the fact that we've done it, really. It's like the bullied, are bullying now, really. Mikel Arteta has hinted that we could see a young keeper, whether that's Royas, young Jack Porter, Brian Okonkwo, Lucas Notgard, or Tommy Setford, as well as young 16-year-old Jack Porter, who's quite highly rated, people. Apparently, Raya's got a bit of a doubt. I don't know if he'll be rested. For me, if Raya is fit, you need to play, really, because you can't utilize Neto. Let's see how they are today. We'll try and make a call on that if we believe that's a possibility. And obviously, you'd imagine Timber and Calafiori are probably on the bench, but if we can, give them the day off. And maybe, well, even Benjamin White, because Benjamin White had an issue going into the City game. Timber's coming back from an ACL, and it's been a big 7 days for him as well, especially with 10 men. Arteta alluded to it with Calafiori. Zinchenko apparently still out for a few weeks. There's been radio silence where Tomiyasu is concerned, people. So we'll have to see in that regards, people. But yeah, Arsenal could play 16-year-old goalkeeper Jack Porter against Bolton. Bolton seems to be our bogey team, and you can't write them off, people. But I do think going into the Bolton game tomorrow will be top heavy. Like I do expect to see Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling potentially get starts. Who else? I would love to see. I think something's wrong if Lewis Skelly and Ethan doesn't start. I wonder what we'll do with Lewis Skelly. Does he play in central midfield and you give the day off to a Partey, and Rice could you could get away with an hour for Rice. Jorginho probably comes in. You've got Ethan. Lewis Skelly has played as an inverted left back. Technically played there against City. If you can play inverted left back, being a right-footed player, you can surely play on the right-hand side. That obviously opens up Kivior, you'd imagine, and you'd want him to play as a centre half, but could he potentially play left back? So yeah, the whole squad is going to be utilised, people, and the games are coming thick and fast. So it'd be nice to see him play. He only turned 16 in July, and he's played 6 games for our under 18s and just once for under 21s, people. He obviously signed scholarship terms last year and has been, involved with England's under 16s and under 17s, people. He's a good keeper from what I've seen. You'd imagine Raheem Sterling obviously was delighted to make the temporary switch to Arsenal. You'd imagine he's in line to get his first start for the club tomorrow. Arsenal have decided they are willing to sell Tomiyasu allegedly, and 2 Italian heavyweights are interested. Now, I love Tomiyasu, whether he's a starter, someone you can rotate in the side, someone you can bring on to manage games. Like, it would have been great to have him in the City game we saw. The only thing I could see with Tomiyasu is injuries, people. He was subjected or better yet limited to only 30 appearances last season, people, which for Tomiyasu, the best ability you can have is availability. So I could understand if patience is wearing thin. If you make an offer Arsenal can't turn down, then fair enough. But it'd be silly, in my opinion, to let him go mid-season. He's been linked with Inter and Juventus, people, and obviously made his name in Italy, and we signed him when he played for Bologna, people. So we have to see. Apparently Trossard told his teammates he didn't hear the referee's whistle before he was controversially sent off. I personally think you knew what you was doing, but if that's what you're said, that's what we're running with. Fair enough, people. In that regard, we've been linked with Duran, who I've done a video on. Go and check that out. You would see, he's probably one of the FPL Premier League heroes. The man can't stop scoring. We all know Aston Villa are not going to let him go in January, much less on the cheap. And he's a key player. Not only have they got Ollie Watkins, they've got him on top of all the quality that Unai Emery's men have. Bearing in mind they're still in the Champions League, trying to do what they're trying to do in all the competitions, does not make sense. Arsenal are monitoring Aston Villa striker Thuram as an alternative to Gyökeres in attack. Now, you would have seen, apparently, they've come out with a short list that Gyökeres is there, Sesko is there. There's 5 names: Gyökeres, Sesko, I think Osimhen is still there, Thuram, and there's Marcus Thuram, if I haven't said that. I would love Thuram from Arsenal. Aston Villa, rightly so, are going to ask for top money. The man's in his early 20s. He's doing quite well, even though he's in a bit part role, kind of a second choice striker. Does not make sense for Aston Villa to sell him on the cheap. So I mainly think this is just off the basis of us looking for a striker. Allegedly, we're monitoring him as an alternative, people. Gyökeres is even scored yesterday, still scoring goals for fun, has 100 million price tag on his head. We do know Monchi and the sporting directors said that over 40 clubs were looking at Thuram. Personally, I don't buy that. We all know we're craving a number 9. We were linked with Gyökeres, Osimhen, and Sesko, people. We was quoted more than 100 million for 2 names there. So I can't see that developing into anything, if I'm honest. Javi Guerrero is not only drawing interest from Arsenal, but also Tottenham Hotspur. Apparently has a valuation of 35 million, which equates to about 29 million pounds. He's 6'2", so he would bring physicality, or better yet, height in midfield. Obviously 21, he's got more years in the tank than a Jorginho or Partey, so he would tie him with the long-termism. He's quite good technically as well, people. He featured 36 times in the league for Valencia, 28 were starts, and he got 4 goals, so there's a bit of a blank canvas, and he averages allegedly 4.9 recoveries per game. So based on that, you could see why he would tie into Arsenal. Apparently, we're reportedly ready to reignite our interest in Joan Garcia. We're not going to sign him until the summer at the earliest, people. Some of you would have actually seen he was trying to do a bit of shithousery of his own against Kylian Mbappe. Maybe that's why he was flagged on the radar, if I'm honest with you, people. Apparently, Arsenal have turned their interest to River Plate attacking midfielder Franco Mostantoniano. I can't say his name, but some of you would have seen Real Madrid onto him. He's made his debut for River Plate and he looks quite exciting. I can't see us spending the money River Plate are going to want. Although you look at, you know, Salvino, I know he was part of the City group. You know, you look at Julian Alvarez, could emerge in South American talents, be something Arsenal could look towards doing. Arsenal are not alone when it comes to the attacking midfielder Franco. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea and City allegedly are all interested. Yesterday, you would have seen we was linked with Yeremy Pino. So we've been linked with Yeremy Pino, this young Franco guy, Joan Garcia, Javier Guerrera, Duran, and off that, Sesko and Gyökeres rumours don't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. Manchester City have been linked with Musiala, and they've also been linked with Barella, who did quite well in the recent Champions League game. That's the midfielder, if I could do it, would be for us, but that's dream chasing. Gabriel has told Manchester City that Arsenal are waiting for them at their ground and their battle people. Big him up, he said, in reference to the Haaland stuff. Look at this cunt. I don't even remember this. It's normal. They were happy after scoring in the last minute. They were playing at home, so our duty was to win the match. But after, our team did really well to resist. It's a battle, a war, so it's normal to have provocative acts in football. It's part of the game. Now this is over and we're waiting for them at our ground. My man stayed humble, said stay humble. You talking nonsense to Mikel Arteta. You're doing, you know, you're crashing into Thomas Partey. You're trying to bully a young 17-year-old and you're talking about stay humble. Haaland, is everything all right at home? As I said before, Haaland, you got the energy for the wrong former midfielder, because the guy who took out your dad is still on Sky Sports doing up pundit and you're there being an idiot, you Goldilocks twat. Anyways, great footballer, absolute man-child. First time he's shown his age. On Trossard, Mikel Arteta said, finally, people, I reflected post-match and it's the same reaction today. I mean, what do we expect the gaffer to say, really? So let me know your thoughts on the little transfer news we saw, people. Let me know your thoughts on what I said at the beginning, and also let me know your thoughts on what Gabriel said. Check out the rest of the content. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.
Always